Welcome to the Flicks Picks to the Nitpicks, and I am your host, ww84. Season 2. Let's get into this show today about what's going on in the movie news. Right now we already know this is going to be the 31st. This is being recorded 31st of December, and I hope to get this out later on the day for you guys. Just as my final gift for 2020, which is coming to an end, and it is crazy that it's coming to an end. First off, I would like to say it's great to be on episode 2 of season 2. I'm hoping to get into a better thing so we could go over the movie news, as well as you see me trying to put out more things for the show for Throwback Thursdays, as well as just trying to tighten up the show just to give you a better experience of what I would like to have presented here. So it's actually really dope to see the end of this year. It's been a trying year. I know for a lot of people, you guys, we come to the movie sites because that kind of caters to a certain itch of ours that just need to be scratched, and it's a good distraction from everything else that's going on in the world today. All the super important things that we got going on, from health crisis to family members to just life changing to having kids, and everything, vaccines, how it's affecting the industry, and which will also talk about how much money will be invested in this industry if there isn't as much money to be made in the industry. Makes sense? And with streaming coming along, and we just seeing what's going, it's just so much to try to figure out going into 2021, that at the end of the day, all we can do is just hope that, just take it one day at a time. And we use the movies just to keep us distracted and away from all the things that's been going on and around the world, from politics, etc., etc. So, at least we could get a chance to reflect back on all the movies of this year. And I hope that going future, I want to do a lot more reviews. I've actually been doing more reviews, but I want to keep on doing more film reviews. But I haven't been watching as much films as of late because I've been behind the scenes working on a lot of different projects, and it's also in terms of just it's COVID, so we got to figure out new things to do, things to get done. So just always strategizing, but always trying to make sure that I can keep this ship afloat. So let's just get into the movie news, man. And first up, we're gonna go right into it. Everyone is criticizing Wonder Woman 84, and let's just talk about it. And real quick, man, it is getting raked over the coals, this film, from YouTubers and like I said from the very beginning, I do feel like from before, in episode 1, we discussed how I felt how everyone's talking about the film and how everybody's reacting. Now that I've seen the film, I can actually shed light to it. I meant to watch it 2 times and actually do a real up-to-date review, but I'm gonna do a broad stroke review, a quick review of what I thought before I get into a real deep in-depth joint. But that will be our main course of this episode today. So but real quick, like I said, so many YouTubers are tearing this film down, the likes of which, not as bad as Zack Snyder has gotten, but it is getting up. It is not a close second, but it's starting to get into that tiership. I do feel like there's a lot of people that are remiss and kind of reject tearing down the film because they put so much stock in Patty Jenkins. I think a lot of which is because she's the female director everybody was going on, latching on to. At least I think there's a little bit of that. I also think because people were so quick to throw so much, everybody want to be wrong and strong, so people put so much stock in her, saying, yo, she should direct the Justice League, and even she said, hold your brakes. Like I said, with all that being said, I really think that people put so much stock in her that people felt guilty coming at her. Oh, everything had to be wrong. Something else had to happen around it. And then you got a lot more people, which I'm not glad in a good way, but glad that at least people, now I could take a lot more people's word on what they like and what they don't like when they treat these films the same way they would treat other films. So at least there's something that you can stand on. So at least it's not like you're just moving the goalposts just for certain directors, because that makes it hard for me to take you serious in terms of being objective. That being said, now there's still something that I don't understand, that this is a lighthearted film that you guys had wanted, and they giving you this, and you still rake it over the coals. Now, you could argue, well, they could have done this but made it more coherent, perhaps. But I think it was a lighter tone that actually set it back, because the film, even though the character was a lot more lighter because she lived in a bubble, that when you brought her here into the real world, how she interacted, they took it on with a very Disney-esque feel. This one was a little bit closer to, since it was more of a romantic rom-com, it felt more towards, I don't want to take anything away from it, but it felt more TV-esque in terms of script, not shot. It's shot like a film, but the approach was very TV-esque, the plot line. And maybe because it was so simple. But even if you want to use a simple plot line, then that leaves a lot more room for character development. And the way in which she chose to do the character development with 2.5 hours, I do feel like this could be where it fell short for a lot of other people, and I'm trying to be respectable. But I'm not mad at her. She gave you the lighthearted, Christopher Reeve-esque that you guys claimed that you were looking for, and this is what you guys got. And also, there's some people out there too that you could tell that they don't want to critique it because of their affiliations with people at the film. And look, I get it. But the way that some of these guys came for Zack Snyder is not the same the way now that Patty Jenkins, because you have certain affiliations, you go out of your way to look at the bright side, and that's not fair. Now, those guys are exposing themselves to others, and even though I agree and disagree on a lot of points, and I do think some people taking this as a film way too far, at least I'm consistent because I felt that way with Zack Snyder, and I do feel that people are doing a little bit too much with Patty Jenkins. But I also have to argue that, and I'm not sure that it was her choice or she did it to go along to get along with Jeff Johns, who knows, but she did fire a lot of the people that was on the first one. So I already knew that this was not going to be the same kind of film that we were looking for, and this was a very reactionary film towards how people felt about the Snyder universe. That being said, it's interesting to see how much people are enjoying to tear down this film and actually kind of like drinking the tears of the film, like you guys want to see this be destroyed. And like I said, I'm not saying that you gotta handle people with kid gloves. Consistency all across the board. Be realistic, and also keep in mind, at the end of the day, this is just entertainment, and some people treat it as if you're owed more than you need it, than you've even invested. You bought the film, yeah, okay, you bought it. If it's not good, cool, then don't invest in it anymore. And if some people like it, there's no reason for you to tear down other people for liking it. Like I said, unless, and I also understand, I'm not gonna say unless, but I also understand why you feel the need to, because there's a lot of inconsistencies of how a lot of people are approaching it. But for the most part, it's actually consistent to how Zack Snyder got it. Is it a DC thing? I don't know. But I also know one of the biggest issues DC have is coming from the shadow of what Marvel already had built, and it's always going to always be critiqued and judged against that which what came from before, and why it's not using that formula, because Marvel had laid the roadmap. But sad to say, DC just want to carve their own way. But with everybody criticizing it, and now that it's probably more in trend to say something negative about the Wonder Woman film, Wonder Woman 84 specifically, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting to see what's going to come forward from this. Because right now, we really needed a win with the Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, we got the Snyderverse coming, and at least we get our film, and that's the great thing about it. But I do want to see these characters live on. I feel like there was so much to mine from these characters that it's just a shame. You know, I understand that they're going to start building from the ground up with Matt Reeves and go into their own universe that way, which I'm not mad at. I just want to see the Snyderverse get its opportunity to shine the way it should. With Suicide Squad just not working. The Suicide Squad hopefully will take it to the next level, but I think it's enough from the original Suicide Squad that you can keep. I just hope moving forward, as we omit the other Justice League movie, Aquaman, you already know how I feel about Aquaman. Even though I don't hate it, I liked it. It still felt like it wasn't part of the Snyderverse. We still got a lot to work with that I think is good enough that we can actually create a brand new overarching story that could be the next phase of this universe, still coming out of the Snyderverse. And I hope that we get an opportunity to see that through. But with Wonder Woman 84 looking bad, this is just a big setback towards the prospects of that and whatever future that we can have. But still, we got the Snyder Cut. Hopefully that will right the wrongs of everything else, and we'll see where we will go from here. But as you already know, this will probably not be the last time we talk about Wonder Woman 84 moving forward, so just keep it locked here. Next up, Soul. And Soul has had an amazing weekend, so it seems, and this story is coming directly from comicbookmovie.com. Disney crushed HBO Max and app downloads over Christmas as Soul battled Wonder Woman 1984. Pixar's Soul went head-to-head with Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day, but it appears Disney Plus won the streaming wars as download numbers for the service were through the roof. Read on for details. And this is Josh Wilding, December 29, 2020, filed under Wonder Woman 1984, the source Bloomberg. So Wonder Woman 1984's HBO Max debut was finally beneficial for the streaming service as Bloomberg is reporting that the streaming service has set a single-day record for downloads of its mobile app following the release of DC Comics adaptation. 554,000 users signed up from Friday to Sunday with a record of 244,000 downloads on Sunday itself. There are obviously other ways to get HBO Max, included through smart TVs and devices like Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. However, this data still offers a good idea of the interest level. As of now, HBO Max's total number of mobile users reportedly stands just shy of 12 million. However, the big winner was Disney Plus. There were 2.3 million global downloads over the same period, and its subscriber count now stands at 87 million following the release of Soul. HBO Max is now available in the US, of course, but there's no way Warner Media is salivating over the prospect of having many subscribers. For whatever reason, this global launch still isn't planned. HBO Max hasn't been without its issues. Wonder Woman 1984 remains the only constant available in 4K, while there continues to be a revolving door of content. Disney Plus also has the advantage of must-see series like The Mandalorian, a series that has been a huge amount of buzz about lately. What do you guys decide to watch over Christmas? Okay. Well, it seems like judging by the article, it just seems like Soul did an amazing week, and I heard it's actually pretty damn good film. I haven't seen it yet myself. I do intend on giving it once over. It looks interesting. I hear it's very heartwarming, and it does what Pixar is supposed to do, and they do highbrow animation for kids that very adult friendly. I look forward to checking it out myself. and with them having an amazing weekend. And also, I mean, you got to also remember, people will try to pin them up against each other. Disney Plus had a longer go out than Warner Brothers has. HBO Max, I should say, has. And with HBO Max, they're kind of judging it against themselves, not against other people. And streaming is just going to be a lot more difficult in rating now, because people that already have it is not buying the new films. So you have to only rate it about how much people are actually watching it, and then you have to also rate by how many people are going to be repeat viewers. So it's going to be interesting to see how they judge the repeat viewing going into the next week, and we shall see, because now that you have it at home, there's no real way of trending it. Because before, when we could watch a movie, you might not watch a movie but like maybe once or twice in the same week and watch it the next week. At your fingertips, once it's there, I could watch it back to back to back, and I could watch it 8 different times in week 1. So it's going to be a hard way to really gauge it, but I guess it's still going to use the same gauging mechanisms as before. But until we have a decisive idea of how the trend is going to be, we're just now really trend setting and data taking to see what would be considered progress the next week, and how next week viewings would be in the week to week viewing, how that will go weeks out from it actually dropping. So it's just going to be interesting moving forward how those numbers are going to look and whatnot, how we're going to gauge it, what's going to be the bar. Next up is a story that I am sad to report and even discuss and talk about. Ray Fisher v. Walter Hamada, and I do not know at what point it just went way the fuck left. Now, as you guys know, on the road to Snyder Cut, I wanted to do a lot more trending information about it, and I fell short completely for doing that. But what I want to do is actually start like getting into what's actually going on with Ray Fisher now, trying to like brush up on what's going on and see exactly what is how far this is going to go and how this is going to affect anything moving forward for guys like us that are actually interested in DC, the DCEU universe, and seeing how much further that it can go with that. That being said, let's get into this article from Comic Book Movie News. Excuse me, actually, this story is going to be brought to you from Deadline, actually. And it reads, the headline is, Justice League star Ray Fisher slams Walter Hamada. Cyborg actor will not participate in any films associated with DC boss. Justice League actor Ray Fisher will not let down his bullhorn in his ire against Warner Brothers, in particular DC Films president Walter Hamada. The Cyborg actor, who had Warner Media dive into investigation about the alleged misconduct of Joss Whedon during reshoots of Justice League, tweets today, Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and WBPR failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. On the evening of December 11th, Warner Media released a vague, glib statement that their investigation connected to Justice League has concluded and remedial action has been taken. No other details were provided, but even Warner Brothers motion picture executives at the time were unaware the decision was coming down. In regards to films that Fisher is involved with, as far as DC goes, the actor reprises a cyborg role in the extra shoots of Zack Snyder's Justice League 10-episode cut, which is hitting HBO Max next year. The actor also participated in the DC fandom panel for the feature recut. Fisher, per Warner Brothers, was in talks to return as Cyborg in the upcoming DC feature The Flash. Sounds like that's not happening now. Fisher's firestorm against Warner Media began on July 1st when he tweeted Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. accountability over entertainment. It's important to note here during Fisher's tirade against the studio that Hamada was not in charge of DC feature production, nor did he have any oversee on Justice League when Fisher and Whedon were working together. Hamada was an executive at New Line during that time. On the evening of Friday Labor Day weekend, Warner Media dropped a lengthy statement, which is not typical for the studio to do in crisis situations, firing back at Fisher saying, in July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films president Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher about his concerns during production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' upcoming Flash movie, together with other members of the Justice League. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process and that a film's writer/director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. Notably, Mr. Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they could conduct an investigation. At no time did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or rendered any judgments about the Justice League production, in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement since filming occurred before Mr. Hamada was elevated to his current position. While Mr. Fisher has never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, Warner Media nonetheless initiated an investigation into the concerns he's raised about his character's portrayal. Still not satisfied, Mr. Fisher insisted that Warner Media hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigator has attempted multiple times to meet with Mr. Fisher to discuss his concerns but to date, Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to the well-being of every cast and crew member on each of its productions. It also remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegation of misconduct which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. In subsequent Forbes interview in October, Fisher indicated that racial issues played part in the decisions that led to his claimed mistreatment on the set of Justice League. Justice League stars such as Aquaman Jason Momoa sided with Fisher's crusade on social media against the studio as the actor called for an investigation. Wonder Woman star and fellow Justice League actress Gal Gadot told the Los Angeles Times that she didn't shoot with Fisher, but I had my own experience with him, Whedon, which wasn't the best one, but I took care of it there, and when it happened, I took it to higher ups, and they took care of it. But I'm happy for Ray to go up and say his truth. Warner Media did not have a news statement in response to Fisher's news statements today against Hamada. Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. His lies in WBPR's failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigations. I will not participate in any production associated with him. So, there's a whole lot to unpack, and we shall jump into that in a little bit because there's a lot to be said. We know what Gal Gadot was talking about in terms of the whole scene where the Flash lays on top of her. That turned out to be a body double from what I understand. And rightfully so, because it's an awkward thing to request, especially from how the series started to where you're going now with this weird comedic cheesy, it's slapstick. We're kind of beyond it. That's something that I could have seen in the 90s, and we're kind of beyond that with the level of sophistication that we've gotten with these films. If you wanted to do that, you should have did that in a universe that supported that type of slapstick comedy. But at the same time, I'm not mad. You wanted a Joss Whedon-esque film, and this is what you've gotten. He had to he tried to give you an Avengers version of it, and it just didn't work for this universe, especially for how it was set up. And already he was working within the bare bones of what was already there. That being said, I'm not exactly abreast enough on the accusations on Joss Whedon. I know that there's enough there that it's to raise concerns. I mean, when you got other actors, and we got one confirmed in Gal Gadot saying something, and for a known outspoken actor such as Jason Momoa to actually chime in, I don't think it's also just to support a fellow actor. But I also got to say this with Ray. If they actually got the third party person you asked for, even if you felt like it was shifty, show up and see it all the way through if this is the hill you're willing to die on. To go at Walter Hamada, who wasn't even there during the research shoots, I think it's a gross misdirection of blame. I'm not behind the scenes, so only you would know a lot further. I did, however, want to make a video directly shot specifically for you, and maybe I could add that on the end of this, specifically saying that, well, I say it at the end, at the end of this, so I could get my full thought. This seems just a little off balance to level it at Walter Hamada, unless you're saying that he's actively suppressing a lot more information, even though he had nothing to do with its inception. It has everything to do with its suppression. That could be true. But you also have to understand that Walter Hamada is in a very weird place. One, he's got people over him pushing forward because they brought him up there to redirect the ship, and now he has overseers saying, nah, go back to what was done before. This is a lot for him to have to deal with. I'm just saying, if I may play devil's advocate. So for him to have to plan to this whole new change, that Aquaman is obviously a little bit brighter. A lot more of Jeff Johns' fingerprint is through it, that they have to go back now. But mind you, it's no one's fault. The pandemic happened. It's a lot going on. I just think that this was not the most appropriate time to level this type of war. Part of the strategies of war is choosing your battles wisely. I didn't think it was the most appropriate to do that right now. Seeming how that you have the Justice League Snyder Cut is finally being released. I thought it was I felt a little bit like Ray Fisher might have surfed the progression of that and said, all right, now let's go push this forward, especially with everything that's going on with what's going on in the world right now. It seemed the most appropriate time to actually go do that, and I get it. But you got a second chance with this film. Let's not cast this weird shadow over the possibilities that this film can do, not only just for your career. Now, make no mistake, I do also understand there's another part to this, but I'll save that for a little when I speak a little bit more direct to Ray Fisher. I just want to talk directly to the article. And even the article, as much as it tries to say that they try to reach out to Ray Fisher, you didn't show up for the investigation, but they're actually giving you the investigation. Now, it could be a veneer, it could be bullshit, but they're giving you that. Now, in terms of that hit piece, I'm going to look into the hit piece to figure out what that really was about, because I think I remember it, but I have to go back and reread and figure out where that's coming from. I just feel like he should have pulled back a little bit on it. He could have leveled the investigation. Gal Gadot, you already had like on the record what happened with Gal Gadot, but she did it behind the scenes. And even when she discusses it in quote, she handles it a lot more with a lot more professionalism than Ray is. Ray is going directly at people, and I think that is not the way to do it. Even if you're going to be aggressive, there's a way to do this like chess. I understand you want to ride out and but there's a way to do it. The professionalism needs to sustain itself, especially when you're doing this right behind what you're doing for your guy. And I know you rock with Snyder, so his film is finally going off, and that's good. I think you could have pulled back on making this the new story, but I also understand if there is a legitimacy claim to this, why you would use this opportunity, the opportunity right now to do it while eyes are on this film. And it's a conundrum, because now that you used it, go all the way. Don't conflate it with you not showing up for certain investigation, things of that nature. That's not the way to go. And I'm not exactly sure why is it that you made it a point to put Hamada's name on it. It must be a lot in that September 4th, I believe it's a date article that I gotta look into a lot further. That withstanding, if we could just, I would like to make a direct, and I'm gonna probably cut this and even add this one to you. So if this actually reaches out to you, brother, I hope you see it. One, I'm glad to see you back in part of the Justice League family, especially with the Snyder cut, and they're gonna give you back your story. You were supposed to be the heart and soul of the film, Ray. I get it. So make no mistake, I'm actually excited to actually see your portrayal, because I really think that you have a lot to give to this character. That being said, I'm a firm believer in playing chess, not checkers, and making this work to your advantage, but you're already here. I kind of wish you would have took your time with this one and not so soon right behind it. Now, I'm not going to just say it because it's easy for me to say, because I was such a part of the Snyder Cut fandom from its beginning inception, and pushing it on my channel, that I'd be full of it to say that part of my reasoning is for this, but it's not full of it to not say that part of my reasoning is for the film. Part of it is, but not really, because once you win a battle, you don't come right afterwards unless that's the strategy you want to take. I would not have taken it. I'd have waited for the film, us to get closer to it, talked about the Justice League, went and did that behind the scenes before I would have pushed it out there. Then when you would have had a decision whether or not to make it public, I would have taken my time. If I was going to go public, I wouldn't have done it that kind of way. I would have tried to still put a lot more professionalism around it. I went to Walter Amada. I understand he wasn't there, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from him, but I do think that it's critical, especially in this day and time, that we actually address it now, so we don't have these type of issues moving forward. Because I love the franchise. You know, I want to be part of it. You know what I mean? Just let them know that you're not trying to make it personal, but this needs to be addressed. And even if, and they wouldn't have liked you doing it like that, but if you would have brought it to them first, and I'm sure you did before it got public, but I hope you did. But if you would have brought it back behind the scenes, handled the business, done it with professionalism, said, see if this is something that we can alleviate from behind the scenes. It happened already, cool. Let's just get an investigation going. I want this to be dealt with and see what happens. Now, even if it was a BS smokescreen, you should have seen the writing on the wall that no one wants any more bad press around Justice League. So you would have had to either take it or and go, or major deals first to be a part of the franchise, but also unless they force you to do a gag order, then raise it up again once you close a lot of these deals, or while you have that as a bargaining chip to say, yo, I'm not satisfied with the investigation. I feel like there should be more to be done. And if they don't find anything, yo, just because an investigation isn't gonna always find you to stand out as the right one, it might not. There may be more to it. And then when you sit down with your team and you figure it out, you have to ask yourself, is this the battle in which the hill you want to die on? Then figure it out. And I think unless they called you straight up N-word, like, I really got to know what is this specifically Josh Whedon racially did to you. If it's something ambiguous and wear a dress, or you didn't want to wear the dress and it was a done deal, and it's like, why the brother gotta always be asked to wear a dress? I get it. I wouldn't keep pushing it. Like, they investigated, you didn't wear it, you didn't do it, so charge it to the game and move forward with this. But now you got this in your back pocket, and to let it be known, like, look, it's not going no further. I get it. Boom, you ain't find nothing, cool. If you guys do it again and you feel like you need to make it public, then that's on you. But at least you got to play the game. Don't just go and empty the whole clip at the world, because this might not go out the way you want it professionally. And I don't want to see a guy that had an opportunity in a blockbuster film and the redemption story of it, that the end, this is how your story ends, that you will no longer be part of the Justice League, part of the WB franchise and family. I don't want to see that to happen. You better be glad that you have AT&T and they may override anything Walter Hamada may do. But if, let's say, you get a chance to sit back down, make this right. Make this a right situation, especially for yourself, brother. Now, if they straight up call you the N-word and it's some real, like, real stuff, like some real stuff that, yo, I'm with it. Like, 10 toes down, like, nah, F it. It is what it is. We got dignity. We got dignity on this side. This melanin is coming with dignity. It's coming with a whole level of dignity that people are not going to be able to understand moving forward. We're going to push the line on that and put respect on that. Yeah. But if it's nothing, if it's not that, know when to pull back. Know when to drop olive branches. And at the end of the day, Walter Hamada had nothing to do with it. So this, I think you can fix that. He had nothing to do with it. Now, whatever he's doing behind the scenes to hide it, I hope it's that right hill you choose to have that battle on. Because I'll be honest with you, I just don't think that this is gonna work right for you. Right for what you guys have finally, and you're part of this push to get the Snyder Cut out there. I just don't think that this is gonna work right for you. You know what I mean? And I just hope that if you even have any moment to sit down, bro, and just check it out, and like brother to brother, like, you know what I mean? Like I said, if it's real like that, like, go for it. Like, 10 toes down, I'm with it. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is. But it better be directly clear. Racism. Nothing ambiguous in innuendos, and they ask you to do something and you didn't do it and you let it go. Then they ask you to do something that was inappropriate and you wasn't with it and then force you or try to choke you into doing it. Well, then leave it at that. It's behind the scene. It might be a weirdo move, but I'm not with it. Boom. I'm not doing that. And if they let it go, you didn't do it, you didn't do it. If you had issues with how they was moving the character along, unless they didn't have you be like them just calling the character N-word all throughout the film, then you be all right with it. Now, if he said something, and I read an article about you took inspiration from Trayvon on one scene. I'm not exactly sure how accurate that is. But let's just say that there was a comment behind the scenes swirling around it, because I'm just now thinking maybe that it was something that Josh Whedon might have said when you wanted to do something to commemorate or show something, and he might have said something in passing. You know what? Unless he's out here saying the N-word, this, that, and the third. If he said something in passing that was slick, yeah, have them investigate it. If they can't go no further, and if you know it could be just boiled away to he said, she said, it's not enough grounds for anything, then you know what? You put it out there, you know what I mean? And just keep it moving. You put it out there. It can't happen again. You got a new regime. Everything is working for you. The new regime is going. As long as Snyder Cut falls into place, you're going to be back in play as a major player in terms of being one of the major players in the Justice League. And we can see new stories. And then you'll have a lot more cachet to have a lot more input in how the character can be portrayed moving forward, and that's how you can win and win with the character. But this is just what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think out there. And my brother Ray, please let me know, even if you add me and say, yo, you listen to it, that be what's up. And I'm hoping I say something that makes sense. I mean, you got all the cards. You know the cards that's all the cards that's face down. You only know what's in your hand, so you know a lot more behind the scenes than we ever could. I'm just sitting watching the poker game from this side, and I'm just hoping that you playing your hand properly. You know what I mean? Because this could actually explode in your face the worst kind of way, and it might not even be worth it for something that can be seen as very ambiguous. Now, if he, like I said again, if he's calling you some straight up N words, this that, some real, like there's no denying it. I'm there with you. I get it. If he says something that's you can't really quantitatively, argue and say he said this, that, and the third, then if I were you, pick your battles wisely, move from that, like have the investigation. You did your part, and even if it's a shit show, and they say they found nothing, then you come back and say, I don't know how that I lost the investigation. I'm glad that at least Walter Hamada was willing to entertain it. I still feel a way about it, but I went through the proper protocols as opposed to making a scene. Then, even if I'm gonna expose it, I'll do it with a certain level of dignity, that it doesn't seem like I'm going out of my way to berate and blame people that had absolutely nothing to do with it. With what actually happened. Like, I shouldn't hear Ray beefing with Hamada over Josh Whedon if Josh Whedon is actually the culprit. If anything that Hamada could be doing is, if he's hiding it, what makes him no better, but at the same time you can see why. It's bigger than him. It's business. A lot's going on. And I just got here. I just rewriting this shit from what people said that they don't like. Now we hit COVID. Now people want us to go back to something that I was brought up here to move us past, and now I got my bosses is coming over me saying, "Nah, this is the new information. We're going back to that. How can we take what we once have and move it forward?" And now he has to go back, and it's I don't know. I just like, if I could be devil's advocate, if it's more about him trying to hide a lot of stuff, because he has to play this business game too. There's a lot going on, and the last thing they need is this. This is a PR nightmare, and all they can do is try to quell the flames while smiling at everyone. And this public beef is just not going to help any, and I don't want to see your career go out like that if it wasn't worth it. If you find it worth it, brother, then I will believe that it is just that serious. But if it's not that serious, brother, I really feel like you can set the bed for something that can be salvageable in the future. And how you go about doing that, just acknowledging that, yo, look, I went too hard at Hamada, because to be honest, I should be riding on Josh Whedon. And that's just unequivocal. You go at the person that went at you. And then you be like, how I felt that Hamada did. And maybe sit down and have a real conversation with them. So maybe you guys can really connect, so that it doesn't seem like it's a PR line. Maybe you just got to see it from his perspective for why he chose to make these type of moves. And you got to remember, you doing what you did was no one, I don't think anyone seen it coming that you was going to come this hard the way you did. But at the end of the day, I like to believe that you spoke behind the scenes first. And if so, I could respect that. But let's moving right along. Like I said, I do wish you a lot of luck in your future endeavors, and I do hope that this will actually go away, and eventually you'll be back to the family, if you will, the WB family, and back to the DC family. And moving forward, we can actually do some real compelling stories for Cyborg, because I do believe that there's a lot that can be done, and a lot that should be done for a character that's can be a lot more interesting if you would actually do some real in-depth writing. That being said, you guys let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments below. And it leads you all right back to me. And this is the main course, which you guys came here for, specifically my brief review of Wonder Woman. I'll get into the more detailed review, but I did want to talk about it because I actually seen it. I wanted to watch it twice to get like a real good review. I listened to other people's reviews, interesting enough, because I was just fascinated with how the public took the film, because it's almost like overnight Patty Jenkins just turned out to be like public enemy number one. Well, not exactly quite, because people soft shoe around it for her, and they still, even those that don't like the film and are at least honest enough to just say out and out, they'll still always say, well, she's still good enough that she should just do a part 3, and we'll get into that. At least my perspective on that. But the film Wonder Woman 84, for this to have been so long awaited, I think this would have been served best had it come out before it was confirmed about the Snyder Cut, before people started gravitating towards it, and this would have came out at the height of everyone hating on Zack Snyder's interpretation of the Justice League. Of BVS. This would have been something that right after Justice League crashed, Wonder Woman could have came and picked up right then, because I'm starting to think that people are starting to understand the vision that Zack Snyder was and the approach that he was trying to come with. Even just watching how people are taking on the Batman trailer as well, and how even the excitement level for that, and even how people still have to be honest, the best Batman fight sequence ever was in the Zack Snyder film, bar none. That's just what it is, the warehouse scene. So when Wonder Woman came, now they felt like this was appropriate time, maybe just to bury the film now that we're going to do a heel toe turnaround, because you already were looking towards going that direction. I'm not saying that they wanted a misfire with this. Maybe even them seeing the film and having the reservations were prepared to go the Zack Snyder route from before. It's possible. I'm still going to say that going into Wonder Woman 84, I was, even though I heard how people looked at it and how people was talking about it, I was still excited to see it. I guess lowered expectations per se, but I'm easily entertained, and this film was entertaining. It was lacking in action, albeit. Even the cheetah fight at the end, if you ask me, went by quicker than I actually thought. Because at one point I was like, maybe I should rewind it, because I feel like this shit went by kind of quick. And for a 2-hour and 30-minute film, you can notice it, and I can see why other people would have noticed it, especially after it all came out anyway. But the time did, be honest with you, it kind of got I kind of noticed it. I kind of also noticed that. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Wonder Woman get even in her suit. The opening fight sequence was way too cartoony. That mall sequence, I was like, what? Okay. This looks like down the line of one of those, like, maybe, what's that, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad? I was just looking at someone making a review on it. But that kind of thing, like the fight sequences, is very cartoony, very, very slapstick. And I felt like we've kind of graduated beyond that, but more so, it didn't fit well with the Wonder Woman that we've already established, which was going against it as much as it was going for it. But this heel-toe turnaround, which was supposed to be the reset to the DCEU, which you clearly could see that's what they were aiming for. Like, this was kind of just about like Shazam, if you ask me. And I didn't hate Shazam. I liked Shazam. It was cool. It was my... I have to watch it again, sitting, to see if I like it more than even Suicide Squad. Definitely I like it more than Birds of Prey. And I don't say that as a shot at it. It was just, it was cool. I liked it. But I wasn't really excited about it. I do feel like you can only go up from there. I feel like this is cool. Like I look forward to seeing the next installment, and I also look forward to see what Black Adam will bring to that kind of lighthearted tone as a balance. Should their paths cross, and it should. So it felt like, all right, where are we going with it? And that also went against the film as well, because the tone imbalance. But let me stay focused. It was a lot of moments when you don't see Wonder Woman in her costume, so that was plenty of time to tell a story. The thing is, the story that they had wasn't compelling enough. It was trying to tell the story but be something completely different than what they've already set in the first film, and that's an unfortunate thing because people will keep going back to that. They were expecting something set into that tonality, and you didn't give them that. Now, when it comes to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, she was on point. Like, the costume, the colors. I'll be honest with you, I actually really liked the fashion, even though at some points it got to be a little too stylized, too much in trend. They could have still gave it the vibe of feeling like how they shot. What is it? How they shot not Training Day, but American Gangster. What they did with the 70s. They didn't have to make, even though I did love the color palette, I feel like you could have brought, if you wanted to, you could have brought more drama. But they went for the rom-com. And again, I did not knock it. But I felt like the script, if you was going for a rom-com, you should have never went with something that looked like would have been made for TV type of stylized script. People made the joke of a Hallmark movie. Yeah, I could see that, like a Lifetime film. Like, it didn't feel like it was a theatrical rom-com, not even of that note. Because you could have went that way and given, like, I'm trying to really think of a good rom-com that was still funny and comedic, but still had a lot of drama to it. And I felt like that's what they were missing. They had their little small moments, but because a lot of the characters were kind of caricatures, it was hard to really center it and ground the deeper moments when it was applicable. Make no mistake, this film ran off of the charm of Chris Pine and the balance of their relationship, and it worked out very well. So, needless to say, I think that the chemistry was there. The story was something left to be desired. They could have had a better story. Some people feel like too many villains. Yes and no. I just think that if you wanted, for Cheetah to be her adversary, her main adversary, I think we should have spent more time developing her. Even if you wanted to develop her over the course of, by the end of the film, she became Cheetah. That would have been cool. I would have preferred like Cheetah be someone from Themyscira of some sort. But if you wanted to go with a human being being her adversary, then you gotta find a great way to make her get the power. And then I would go with some body horror with her plot point set around a nice little drama, little rom-com dramedy, if you will, between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. And then if you really needed to have a Max Lord, you didn't have to go that kind of over the top caricaturish, because like I said, it just shifts the energy of the film of how you would want to take it. So in any event, there were a lot of inconsistencies to the first film, but judging it against what it is, and what I would like to do is try to, for this last little minute, judge it against the film that it is. If you want to look at it as like a funny rom-com, like I guess what you would call it, what they call it, I don't know, but basically if you was gonna go for that kind of a stylized version against itself, it still kind of worked, but could have still been a better film anyway. They just would have needed to ride the, I don't want to be too much like everyone else saying that it couldn't choose what tone it wanted to be. I think they chose the tone. It's just that then there were moments where they just wanted to ground it even further, and sometimes you couldn't grasp it because it felt like it was trying to be like the first movie, but trying to be this whole lighter comedic version of itself. And that's where it just didn't work. Whatever they were, and people got to keep in mind, at the end of the day, this was around a time when they were trying to do a heel turn around from what Zack Snyder did from the very beginning, but it got pushed back up to this year. If this would have came out early, like last year in the summer, I think people would have liked it more. I still think it would have felt short, a little short, but not as, I don't think that the criticism would have been leveled at this volume towards it. I think it would have been a little bit more divisive, more in the way of divisive. Than, for the most part, it's not unlike the film, and from what I understand, it's now officially not fresh. But we'll get into that later on. But in summary, like I said, tone wasn't consistent to the first film, but onto itself, was it as consistent as everyone says? Not as inconsistent, but yeah, you will find moments where you couldn't tell how they was trying to play these characters, and because you wasn't sure how you want to play these characters, you didn't know how to take the actual film, especially when you want to add on a lot of humor to the rom-com aspect of the film. That being said, it does fall short from the first film, but there are things to enjoy within it. In terms of part of the franchise, this does fall short, but onto itself, it's still not exactly, it's not as an exact waste of time. It's entertaining, but for the average Joe, for anyone outside of myself, it would be a little too long, even for the enjoyment that you can get from it. If they would have tailored it down, I think it would the repeat value of it will go up just a little bit more. But let me know what you guys think below. Everyone's already let the world know how they felt about it. And let me know what you guys feel about it. I'm sure we're going to talk about this film for months going on ahead into the new year. And since we already hit the main course, I want to drop a little bit of dessert, and that is Patty Jenkins is set to head to Disney. She is going to be working on the next a Star Wars story, and that's where she's headed to. And then she also got a film with Paramount, Cleopatra. So she's actually made the wisest decisions of signing and booking these deals before Wonder Woman 84 came out. I'm almost wondering if she'll actually even be doing the part 3. I do hear that they want to do a Themyscira series, which would be interesting. If you ask me, I do think that I'm glad that they're not going to use her to direct that. That would be cool to bring another director in, preferably a Catherine Bigelow, perhaps, or even bring back Zack Snyder in some shape or form. So, and I'm glad she'll take on another film in between. So we'll see what she could do in another franchise, and maybe playing with other people and with another tool set and stuff. She'll get out of the world for a little bit, get a woosah when the DCEU finally gets their footing and finds where they're at. Then she could come back, reacclimate herself in, and maybe she'll be a better director for it. Or maybe perhaps she's done all she can do with WB, because they're just no longer, whatever made them work in the beginning is no longer there, and that could be very unfortunate. Would I say that it's appropriate for her to take another crack at the whip? I don't know. Had this franchise was not as divisive as it is amongst the fandom. It just have to be honest. So I don't know if they have it in them to just be shooting dice on another Patty Jenkins film, directed Wonder Woman. You know, this is not up to be shot dice for. Like, if they need to go pivot to someone else who has a better story, then I think they need to start talking to other directors right now, and maybe start figuring out what other options that they may have and explore that for a little bit. Not to say that Patty Jenkins can't come back with another one, but I told people from before, you gotta remember, she did direct Monsters. Someone got an actress got an Oscar out of it, but she didn't get an Oscar, but she got it out of a credible actress. But it was a credible actress. It wasn't an unknown. But neither here nor there. That was part of her pedigree. I'm not familiar with what she's done on TV. I heard she's got Emmy nominations, and that's a beautiful thing. But in terms of a big budget directed a blockbuster, Zack Snyder had a lot more to do with it. And that's not a knock to her. This is no different than what Kevin Feige's been doing with the MCU. They got people for the action. Can you tell a story? So I think she shot more. I feel like she got help with the action. I feel like she did a lot more hands-on than maybe other directors, but still neither here nor there. They're using that kind of frame set. So now you have a film where she had more control, and this is what you've gotten. So you can't be mad either. This might be more up the alley of what she would have had in mind to begin with. And maybe the reason why the lack of action is because maybe she's not, or how people felt about the action sequences, maybe because she can't shoot a Wonder Woman action sequence to that degree directly on her own without a lot more assistance. It's possible. Do I think that's the truth? I really don't know. I do think that she's a credible director for where she's at right now. But for when people was like, yo, she should get the whole universe and give Patty Jenkins the DCEU and yada yada yada, I thought people was like way too presumptuous. And I was glad even she said, whoa, that's a lot. Yeah, because this was the movie where this was gonna be her baby. She had more control over this one, and now that we got to see it now, and mind you, this is her second in a row in the same franchise. Maybe she does need a break and does something else, and we'll see how she performs elsewhere. And if she could deliver one out there, out the park with that, then maybe she could come back to the DCU and bring something else. And also, who knows how much control she'll have over the actual shooting. They may actually shoot it just like they did the MCU, have other people in there really focusing on the action, doing the action, just you tell the story. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with how Star Wars got their engine running, but I know that's what the MCU has been functioning all the while. That's why when I hear people leaving from directing from those films and doing other things, if it's going to be action, don't expect it to be of the prestige as what was done before, because they had a lot more assistance in that than the average person just coming into it with those already part of their pedigree. And that being said, we'll see what Patty Jenkins does with the Star Wars franchise, and they're highly discriminating. And after post Wonder Woman 84 reviews, it'll be interesting to see how the fandom from Star Wars will receive her. But I haven't heard anything negative as of late, which is a good thing. And I do hope moving forward that Patty Jenkins will, and people also remember she was in the middle of a big dynamic change in things as well, in the dynamic of where the DCU wanted to go anyway. So her leaving, going towards Disney, that kind of has a lot more direction. That will give her a woosah time for the, and time apart will actually allow for Warner Brothers to figure out where they are. Will be hopefully post the Snyder cut, will be in great standing with that, and then hopefully she could come back into the fold, into a better, more focused DCEU, and hopefully Wonder Woman 3 and everything that comes out of it after that will be better off, because she actually had the time apart from the franchise and from WB, while they figure out what they want to do in continuity with what they're setting up moving forward, as long as everything is successful, especially with the Snyder cut. That being said, man, let me know what you guys think down below. Are you excited for where Patty Jenkins is going to be going over to Disney? Let me know in the comments below. Happy New Year to all those out there. 2020 is going to be behind us, and I know we're all just trying to have fun with the movies and all of that, but we do have one heck of a year ahead of us, and hopefully we can get through it together, enjoying the movies that we love, talking more about it, sharing it, and bringing more awareness to the love of films, and how in depth and the artistry of it as well. So, like I said, let me know what you guys think below. Are you rooting for Patty Jenkins? I hope you are. Are you disappointed? Do you feel like I feel that Time Apart is actually going to serve the franchise good moving forward? Leave it in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro. Chill.